didn't think anybody was going to show up. So thank you for coming. So it's 7 by 7 today, and it's really 6 by 6 because I'm officially the 7th, but I work in advertising, so I'm not very interesting. So the people that follow are a lot more interesting than me. So I'm Conway Williamson. I am the Chief Creative Officer of Saatchi and Saatchi, also ironically, the creative director of 7 by 7, which again is ironic because the people coming up after me are a lot more creative than we are. You know, I think what advertising is about sort of popping your head up and seeing what's going on in the real world and channeling that back into the work we do. Our whole idea is about telling creative stories and giving people a reason to choose a brand, to sort of find something different, to compel them to change brands. But in the end, we do that by looking around the world around us. And so I think the funny thing about advertising is we spend a lot of time in a vacuum, right? We pick up the advertising manual, and I imagine there's at least 1 or 2 people in here that are in advertising. But you pick up the manual and you see the ad, and that inspires you to do an ad kind of like that. But the people who do it well are the true originals, the people who sort of pop their head up from where they are, step outside of the vacuum a little bit, and find a reason to be inspired by something other than advertising. And again, we try and channel that back into the work we do and just tell a great story for a brand. That's what we do. So 7 by 7, the idea of this is to find inspiration outside of advertising. I didn't think it'd be very interesting if I brought up my other creative directors and some other people to tell the same story that I would probably tell. So 7 by 7 is a fun way for us to find those people out in the world doing really amazing original things that inspire us, things that we couldn't do ourselves, and sort of giving us a different perspective, a different way in, and just kind of having fun with the world, who aren't following the rules that we follow. And so it's really nice. And I really appreciate everyone coming in today because it's really important that you show up, to sort of step away from your daily routine and just find something that might make you think about something differently. Find a different way in, and that's what this is about. So I'm going to tell a little story, and then I'll get on to the more interesting folks. But just recently we were working on a global pitch for a piece of business, which was for the globe, which is the whole world. And so with that, what we did was I thought it'd be interesting for us to step outside of the agency and go to another place in the world. And so what I did is I went to our office down in New Zealand. And it's a really cool place. It's a beautiful place. And strangely enough, it's part of the mainstream, but it sits in a part of the world that's just outside of it, that has a unique point of view. That's a very inspiring place, and the people are very inspiring. And what happened was I got down there, and I just got a different view of the world. And it applied itself to the work. And, you know, funny enough, we won the pitch yesterday, which was really awesome. And this is not about me, seriously. It's not. It is kind of. Sorry, I'm nervous. My wife is here. I was cool until she showed up, and now I'm getting a little shaky. But it was really good to get outside of our daily routine and go to another group of people, also a part of Saatchi, who just come at the world differently, but also culturally just see the world in a different way. And, you know, and I spent my time there. It also happens I happen to like rugby, and just coincidentally, the Rugby World Cup was going on there. So I accidentally ended up at a rugby game. And if you know anything about rugby, you know that the All Blacks are famous for their haka. It's the Maori war dance, and they do it before every game. And Kevin Roberts, I'm kind of biting his style here a little bit, our global CEO. But what's cool about the haka is this thing is meant to inspire fear. And the Maori did this in this war dance before every battle. And the All Blacks have picked this up and started to apply it to all of their games. So before every game, every team, they do the haka. What was great about the Rugby World Cup is there were lots of Pacific Island nations there. So you had Tonga, you had Fiji, I saw the opening game of New Zealand and Tonga, and it was haka versus haka. And the intensity was amazing. But being in that culture was really great. But one thing that was interesting, I put together a quick little video of the haka that started at a game when they played France and crushed them. That sort of spread into the streets and what it inspired. These flash mobs of haka. Right outside of my hotel, every hour or so, one would pop up in a place you wouldn't expect. And the energy in the city was just different. And I really felt like I had gone a long way from home. And it inspired me in a different way. And so I wanted to share a bit of that, and then I'll get on to the really smart, funny, interesting, creative people. But here's kind of what happened. Crank it up. Turn it up really loud. Every guy just picks up his groan, his little orange cone, and goes back to work. But strangely, what was cool about that is by putting myself and creatively putting ourselves in a different space, we thought differently and created work in a different way. And in the end, beyond all the stuff and the negotiations and all the stuff we do in advertising, this is about creativity. This is about being inspired. And so it's about putting yourself in a different place. So whether you hop on a plane and fly 20 hours to a place where people actually still like Americans, or you do it in a place really close to home, it's just nice to step outside of your sort of everyday world and find a new way to be inspired. And that's what this is about. So enjoy the next 6 really smart, really inspiring, really fun people.